Welcome back to the Coding Oak YouTube channel, and today I have a program here dealing with linked lists and data structures. And so right here I have the user stories on this project I created, and it's up on GitHub. You're welcome to clone the project and try it for yourself. But here we go. This app I created, first what it does is it creates an array which is filled with random ints between 0 and 80. User will determine size of linked list between 7 and 19. So right off the bat, the app generates a array of 19 integers, and the integers are random numbers between 0 and 80, and the user can elect to create a linked list from that array, a linked list somewhere between the size of 7 and 19. And then the user will be prompted to reverse the linked list. So we have a function to reverse linked list. User will be able to sort the list. Yeah, the app will, I'll show you, the app sorts the list. Basically, it sorts it from smallest to largest integer. And user has option to persist the list, and that's not exactly written correctly. It's more like the app automatically persists, and we're using MongoDB. So we have a util layer with a MongoUtil class here. You could call this a singleton pattern, but we create a connection to our Mongo database with an already created collection. We have collection and database. Database is called linked list. Collection is called list. So this is your connection layer. And just a refresher on MongoDB, I have some links here to help you get familiar with MongoDB. I recommend getting Mongosh, which is what I'll be using, demonstrating. You know, they got stuff here in Mongosh, configure Mongosh. So check out these docs. And I have this cheat sheet here. I'll link all this stuff. How to set up your MongoDB, and the cheat sheet, which is good, shows you how to just basically navigate through MongoDB, because you'll need to know how to do that. It gets easier as you get more familiar with the commands. So let's bring up MongoDB with our PowerShell. So just type in Mongosh. Type that in. And it's a little slow on me. Maybe I should restart my computer. So from here you can show DBS. Let's try that. Okay, so it shows us the databases we got, and let's see if I can zoom in on this. We're gonna use linked list. Use linked list. So we switched to linked list. All right, and then we're gonna show the collections. Show collections. And I don't know if I typed in the right command there. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. So it says we got a collection called list. And to see all the information we have in that collection called list, you type in db. This is a global thing. You type db dot, and I keep bouncing around on this thing. db dot list dot find. We'll press enter. Okay, and it shows you this is already a lot of the information I have in here in this collection already, because I've been testing this software over and over. And let me show you how to create a collection. What you do is to create a collection, a new one, in MongoDB, you can always just type db dot create collection, and then you input the name of your collection. So let's say YouTube, and then semicolon, and you enter. and that will create your collection. It says okay, it did it. I'll do show collections. See, it says we got a couple collections here. YouTube, the collection we just created. So yeah, and I think in order to drop, let's say I wanted to drop this collection I made, YouTube, I think you do db.youtube. I think just drop. I think this works. Let me try the semicolon. I'm not sure if that worked, honestly. Maybe that worked. And we'll type show collections. Yeah, I guess we got it. Okay. So yeah, that's how you drop. Just click dot drop, and it'll delete your stuff. All right, so let's go ahead and run this program we got. You can always also use like your terminal inside IntelliJ. That works as well. So yeah, let's just run the main method here. And let's scroll up and run it. Let's go. Okay, so right off the bat, it creates this array of random integers. There's 19 elements in here. And it's going to ask us input a desired list size between 7 and 19. So let's say we enter a invalid number. Let's say we enter 2. Okay, it's going to just loop around and create a brand new array for us. And it tells us input valid integers. So we'll try this again. Let's say 8. And so now it creates our first linked list for us. This is a linked list right here. A custom linked list of size 8 elements. And you see it took these elements right here. And there's duplicates here because these are generated randomly. So you generate numbers randomly, you're going to have duplicates eventually. So this creates a linked list, and then it tells us it's reversing the linked list. So we have a method to reverse a linked list. Down here is the reverse. You see this 78 is now the head becomes the tail. Head becomes the tail. Tail becomes the head. But that's an old method for reversing a linked list. So I'll show you it here. It's an old method, but it's a perfectly valid, perfectly good method. It's tricky to use though. And I have it, where is it in my program here? So yeah, this is it right here. So this is the old method for reversing a linked list. Okay, so what we're doing is we're pushing a bunch of new nodes into a call stack, and then we're reversing the heads, and then we're doing this, and then all these functions are I guess you could say, I don't know, encapsulated or inheritance, I guess. It's in this other layer here. Reverse, you see we got this function reverse and print and push. Okay, so these are our functions to take our nodes, to push nodes into a list, into a like a node structure, and then we have the method to swap the heads, and then the method to print the new nodes. Okay, but that's a very long way of doing it to reverse a linked list. You can also just simply use this, collections.reverse. Collections.reverse, and it's a very kind of cool looking method here. If you go into the docs here, it does all this stuff to reverse a list. Okay, so back to this. And then what it does is it persists 3 different lists into MongoDB. It persists generated, which is that original. You see this array here? This array right here gets persisted into MongoDB. And then our linked list, which looks more or less just like this. And then it persists a final list, which is this linked list 2, which is where a user inputs a random number, random index. So we're about to do it right now. So let's say in this linked list, let's say we wanted to add a random integer between 0 and 80. So let's say it generates a random integer such as like the number 10. So let's say let's persist a random number into an index of our choice. So let's say we want to input one, input like right here. Input an index to insert a random int value, let's say 1. And it has to be between 0 and 8, right? Because there's only 8 indexes here. So let's input something at index 1. So press enter. New value at index 1. It puts it into this array and persists it into the database, and then the database comes back with all that with the final list. Okay, so you see here, this was our linked list. 44, 49, 60. 44, 49, 60. But we inputted a new element between 44 and 49. Index 1, right? And the software generated a random number, generated the number 16. So let's look into our database here. So we'll do db.list.find. Okay, so we have all this old information here, but we go to our last entry here, our last object, the most recently created stuff, and there you see it, 44, 16, 49. 44, 16, 49. And this is it even keeps track of our first integer array, which was a bunch of random numbers, 19 elements. Then it stores the reverse of our selected array. So between, it was this. Yeah, 44 and 70, yeah. To persisted the inverse of this series of elements, and then it shows this new linked list with a random number inserted. So that's pretty cool. This just shows you how to use MongoDB and how to persist stuff, because a lot of tech stacks out there want to use MongoDB. Then it asks us, would you like to clear the collection? Let's just say yes. We'll type in the number 1 for yes. And it loops back around and creates a whole new array for us. And we'll check our database, db.list.find, and it shows us that this array has been cleared out, or this collection has been cleared out, which in another way of saying that is all these documents. All these things here, these are documents. This ID, object ID, this is a document. That's a document, okay? and you click the number 1, you clear the collection. I could show you the method we have for clearing, or deleting I should say. See, this is the method you use to delete the documents in your collection. Okay, it doesn't delete the collection per se. We still have a collection we can use. Okay. So I could say like show collections here, right? Right? It tells us like, look, we still have a collection here. It's just that this collection is empty. And this is the method we use to delete the information in the collection. So I think that's pretty cool. Now I have this user story here of user will be able to decide to sort the list or input as is. I don't really have the input as is, but just to go back over the stream API, the Java stream API, this is the function to, I'll uncomment this. This is how you sort a stream. So this final linked list we created, you can attach the stream and the sorted to it, and you could put it into a new sorted stream. And that new sorted stream, for each element, you can print out the elements. We'll run this with that activated. Okay, input a desired list size, 7, versus the list. Input an index to insert. Let's insert it at the end, 7. Okay, so same thing as before, except this method that we activated is sorted. So it took this is a sorted of this 0, 2, 5, 24, 34, 34, 53. Sorts it out. And remember, look, if you count this, how many elements are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And remember, we have 8 elements in here because we added a random integer into the array. So we started with 7. We selected a custom linked list size of 7, and then we just added an element to it. Reversed it, added an element. Now we have a final array with 8 elements. And that's just the sorted. That's just kind of cool, just a refresher on how to use the Java Stream API. Comment that out. It's good to know that stuff. Good to have it handy so you could use it for your own projects. But the reversing linked list, knowing the old-fashioned way, which is this, all this stuff, node, head, all this stuff, head node. This is a recursive function. Okay. Knowing this old way of reversing a linked list, I guess they'll have those in your software interviews. So it's kind of good to know that off the top of the dome. But remember, you can always just use this collection method, which is called, I think it's just called reverse, yeah. Collection.reverse. And you could just plug a linked list in there, and it'll reverse it for you. I think it's pretty cool how we have, we can put, with MongoDB, you can put numerous arrays into one like object, or one document, I guess. Pretty important method here. It's in this layer. So this is how you do it. Document.put, document.put, and you're gonna this is how you just input, just add more stuff into the just pile stuff into the document like I did. And then if you want to print out, like, let's say that last document, it's number 3 because we have 1, 2, and 3. And this is what we're printing out to the console, this third value, right? Values.get. Oops, I have to undo that. That's how you do that. Pretty handy, very, very handy. I have a previous video about MongoDB where I use that as a template to build this. So yeah, that's important to know. Okay, so I'm just gonna restart this. I don't have to restart it. That's the way this program is run, is like if you want to stop the program, you're just gonna have to manually press stop. Let's just create a big giant. Let's just add a bunch of new elements. 10, 5. There's a delay there because I put a thread.sleep in there. It can be faster if I wanted to. No. I would say no. And any integer other than the number 1 will keep your MongoDB intact. Okay, so let's just enter a bunch of new stuff. 3. No, don't want to do it. 18. And 7. Cool. So let's check our database again. db.list.find. And you see we have a bunch of new entries. So yeah, not exactly sure why I showed that, but I'm just showing that you can just keep piling more and more entries into it. It'll keep giving you new object IDs. So yeah, it's good to know the linked list for knowing data structures, algorithms, and Java and JavaScript. Feel free to check out this on GitHub, and I'll include links to help you better understand MongoDB and linked lists. And happy coding.